On this episode of Car Warriors.
Stop!
I can't see. Lang, move. Let go.
The East Coast battles the West Coast.
Looks like we got a fuel leak.
As they build a legendary hot rod.
You guys are down to 10 minutes.
Wait.
And only one team will walk away with the win.
It's a bad day, man.
And their car.
It's gonna look like a horse's you know what.
We're wasting time.
You're wrong.
Burn hole!
Ooh, running out of time. I'm Jimmy Shine, and I hold several land speed world records. I also run the best speed shop in Southern California. For me, it's all about style and power. I have searched for the best custom car builders in the country to take on my challenge. Create the ultimate automotive transformation in just 48 hours. Starting with 2 mystery cars, all right! A dream collection of parts, and with the help of my 2 lead mechanics, Brad Fanshaw, he's been customizing cars for 25 years, winner of both Ford and GM Design Awards, and is the owner of Bond Speed Wheels. And Ray McClellan, he's the owner of Full Throttle Customs, specializing in tuning street machines that have in excess of 1,000 horsepower. They'll have just 48 hours to transform their cars from scrap
Part right there.
to show. The winner gets to keep their car. But first, they need to impress me. My shop, my rules. Nobody quits in this shop. It's time to gear up for battle. This is Car Warriors.
For this week's battle, on the red team, hailing from the West Coast, the Salty Dogs.
California boy, live at the beach. My team's got some of the most talented guys on the West Coast.
Hot rodding was born in California, and it's in our blood.
The West Coast is the capital of custom cars. We're gonna knock this out the ballpark.
And on the blue team, from up and down the East Coast, Speed Machine.
My name's Mark Doherty. I'm from Hershey, Pennsylvania. I specialize in traveling all over the country, helping people build their projects in their own residence. We all know each other through the internet, but this is the first time this group of guys has all gotten together at the same time. A lot of people might believe that hot rods come out of the West Coast, but you gotta remember, the sun comes up on the East. It's always first. We're not here for big drama, we're here to finish the car.
Okay, representing the East Coast this week, we got Speed Machine. From the West Coast, Salty Dogs. We're gonna have fun this week. I know you guys can build these cars. I know your reputations. The trick is 48 hours. So I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of help. Come on out, guys.
Brad, also from the West Coast, will be assisting the red team. Ray, also from the East Coast, will be assisting the blue team.
All right, I really want to see these cars. You guys want to see these cars? Yeah? Okay, very good. Brad, Ray, let's have a look at these. That's right, gentlemen. Factory 5, 33 hot rods. This week, we're building cars from the ground up.
The Factory 5 hot rod comes with around 3,000 parts to assemble. It was inspired by Ford's classic 1933 Model B, but incorporates modern design technologies, such as a tubular space frame.
Okay, normally we start this competition with an engine pull contest. Since there's no engines in these cars, here's what I've got for you. First, you guys gotta take the bodies off the chassis, bodies over in front of your paint booths. Next, take the chassis, move them, put them on your lift. Then, you guys gotta take your engine, attach it to your monster transmission, install it on the engine run stand, and the first team that fires it up gets their choice from one of the 2 motors behind me here. The first one to my left, 302 cubic inch, sponsored by Ford Racing, single carbureted, 345 horse. To my right, it too is a 302 cubic inch motor sponsored by Ford Racing. Dual quad, making over 400 horse. Okay, teams, you guys understand the rules? Clock starts now.
Okay, let's go. Need a ratchet wrench.
Did you just kick that? You gotta take the bolts out, boys.
Wait. Very carefully, guys. Very carefully. Settle.
Okay.
We got it. You guys get the chassis. We got it.
This team, right out the gate, we're just hammering this thing. Everybody's doing what they need to be doing. We're making it happen.
Nicely, gently. There we go. Let's go on the motor.
Loosen it.
Somebody knows some tricks here. There you go.
This is gonna go on sideways, correct?
Yes.
The West Coast team, the Salty Dogs, get to their engine first, but the East Coast Speed Machine is right behind them.
Okay, let's go.
They'll need to mount the transmission to the engine and then set both on the run stand.
No, that's not going to work.
But the blue team is struggling just to get the engine on the cherry picker.
Go back down.
Meanwhile, Salty Dogs is already mounting their monster transmission.
Okay, we're in.
Okay.
The red team right now is in the lead, definitely. And they're taking some crazy chances, though.
Okay, move the cart. It moves easier. Hey, hold on. This thing's leaning.
Whoa.
Stand on it.
These guys are actually putting the transmission on hung in the air.
Blast it in, baby. If I worry about what's going on the red team, we're going to lose our side. So we just focus, again, staying focused on what the goal was.
Okay, just roll it. Forget about the tilt. Just get it up, higher. It's got to go higher.
Both teams have mounted their engine and transmission on their motor stand.
Okay, you find the oil pressure?
Yeah, done.
Okay.
But the West Coast team, the Salty Dogs,
Water temp?
has a slight lead and is about to start their engine.
Is everything good?
Go. Start it.
Brad's hitting the button, nothing's happening.
Something's not good. Check our MSD. Right post on the solenoid down here?
We're checking the wires. Is the ground on? Is the positive on? Why isn't this thing firing up? It's driving us nuts.
While the West Coast team troubleshoots, the East Coast team is gaining ground.
Nobody hooked this one up. Gotta have power.
We're not getting any main power. Fuel line not hooked up?
Yeah, fuel line, John.
Hey, get ready to start it.
My mistake. Grabbed the wrong roach clip.
Start it.
No, we're still.
Now we hit the key for the third time, and still nothing's happening.
The blue team is now just seconds away from starting their engine.
Will it start? Yeah. Starter, guys. It's got to be the starter. Hit it.
Nice work, guys.
All right, looks like our engine challenge was won by our friends from the East Coast Speed Machine. Gentlemen, good job. That means you guys get to choose your engine.
Dual quads.
The dual quad. That motor is yours. That means red team, you guys get the single quad 345 horse motor. Engine challenge is over. That means the parts cage is open.
Okay, let's go.
The Car Warriors parts cage holds everything the teams will need to build their cars. Brakes, gauges, body panels, transmissions and differentials, almost anything.
Oh, we got the moon valve covers.
Headman headers.
And of course, stacks of premium hand-cooked tires.
Okay, 245/35 for the front, 285/30 for the rear.
We've got the super high performance in both.
It's how much wheel do you want to go?
I think this is a little more classic.
You want to
A little more classic, right? Higher sidewall, yeah. It's like Christmas.
Having collected what they feel are the most valuable parts, the teams now focus on their designs. They'll need to hit the 4 car-building essentials: engine and transmission, suspension, body and paint, and interior.
What we're doing is we want to do an East Coast traditional coupe. Exposed engine. That's the big reason we wanted the 2.4.
Oh, okay, that's going to be cool.
So there's not going to be any hood, no hood sides, nothing forward except the grill hanging out there with the radiator out.
We go with orange at the bottom, graphite gray at the top. We're going to kind of continue that color in the interior.
Do a two-tone suede, add a few little custom billet accents that we're going to fabricate here.
Nice, that's going to be really cool.
While Speed Machine is going to try to go classic, Salty Dogs has their own ideas.
All right, guys, my idea, old bomber plane. Aluminum panels, some cool brown leather interior. Basically a salt flat racer, all right? That's what I'm going for. Bitchin' interior, bitchin' paint.
You're going totally for that classic hot rod Bonneville, and I like that. I mean, you guys are the West Coast team. With what you're doing, if we can get all that done, man, this will be a hell of a car.
1, 2, 3, dogs!
The teams get to work. And right out of the gates, Dan is doing something unusual. He's trying to turn plain old packaging foam into a headrest.
I just met Dan, and when I see him taking this packing foam out of the box, taping it to the back of this hot rod, I'm saying to myself, man, this could be a mess in the making.
What do you guys think of this? You think it's really tall? Tall? Kind of bulbous? Because right now it's looking really like a big booger on there, yeah.
If this thing is ugly, it's going to be the first place Jimmy's eye is going to go to. And that is never a good place for your judge to start.
Coming up.
Goes in the trash.
If we don't have a windshield, all we're going to have is a glorified parade float.
And later.
You want to try it real quick? Let's try it.
Fire and hold!
Oh, nothing, huh?
We're only 50 minutes into the competition. With their designs in place, both teams are working furiously. And now it seems the West Coast Salty Dogs might ruin their car with a misshaped headrest.
You were going to bring it to like here, you said?
Yeah, I just to get the humpback whale out of it.
Well, I think you need to take it out.
This has got to come way out. It's got to come in here, okay? That's what we need to do.
As Dan gets to work reshaping the headrest, Jimmy approves of the project.
It actually looks kind of crude, but it's really smart. So basically all I did is he wrapped that up, this foam with some tape, put some fiberglass on, made a nice hollow mold of what he wants to make. And you know what? Mark my words, you're going to be surprised how cool this thing looks.
These teams have a tough road to hoe. Unlike a restoration modification job, Factory 5 cars need to be assembled from the chassis up. That includes the engine, drivetrain, steering linkage, brakes, all the electrical wiring, the gas tank, everything. And if they don't do it all, they don't have a car.
The order that we approach things really isn't that much different. The nicest thing is we don't have to tear it apart and assemble it. We only have to assemble it with no grease.
But these crews don't do it the easy way.
Part of our theme is going to be no part untouched. So all the suspension pieces, all the spindles, we want to have paint on everything.
Mark is going so far as to build a fan shroud for the radiator.
I'm just taking this piece of sheet aluminum, bend it into half a box, and tuck it in the radiator. Then I cut a big hole in it. Now the fan sucks all the air through the whole entire radiator. The entire thing's going to be painted to match. You won't even see it on there. You won't even know that I had built that.
Another difference is that the body isn't a structural piece of the car, which means the car can get into the paint booth while it's still just a pile of parts.
I know this is a fiberglass car, but the paint job I wanted to do, I want to make it look like I was hand-stretched out of aluminum. Never done that before. I think it'll look cool.
While the Salty Dogs are going for flashy, the East Coast Speed Machine is going for classy.
We're going to do a nice elegant ride. The colors I want to go with is with like a tangerine orange, graphite gray top with a stripe to kind of split it up.
13 hours into the build, and the blue team is ready to drop in their engine.
All right, you got it, Eric? Yep. Just Mark, you call it, okay?
I got it. Bring it down slightly again. Bring it in.
Pull out on him.
Yeah.
Down.
Okay, let's let it down. We'll take off the lifter.
Motor's in. Oh, you guys still have a bare chassis.
The East Coast Speed Machine takes an early lead, dropping in their engine. But the guys from the West Coast are not far behind. Only 30 minutes later, Lang and E begin to install the engine into the red car.
Okay, good.
Meanwhile, Jack, nicknamed DeBat, is going to try a risky mod.
We're building our car like a old school Lakes dragster, and this is a very short windshield, but we want a little bit shorter, just to kind of customize it a little bit, make it ours.
It's a delicate process. First, he needs to score the glass along the correct line, and then he'll try to gently break the glass apart along the score.
If it's flat, it's pretty simple. It's 95% every time. Well, as soon as you put a curve in it, trying to get it to follow your straight line is pretty tough. A lot of it, most of the time, it tries to veer off. Goes in the trash.
Despite his frustration, DeBat isn't stupid.
Sometimes it'll take 10 windshields to get a curved piece of glass to come out right. So we had a backup.
The backup belongs to the blue team. The 33 Hot Rod actually comes with two different windshields. One for an open top and one for a coupe. Since the blue team is making a coupe, they have an extra open top windshield.
So I was cutting down our windshield for our Salt Flat Racer and ran the wrong way. So I lost our only windshield. And I know you guys...
That's a bad day, man.
It's a bad day.
That's a bad day.
I wonder if you guys had decided if you're going to use your windshield or if you were going to go hard top or...
Well, we're thinking about a hard top. Yeah, we've got this one painted up.
It looks really good.
It really does look good.
I could use a windshield.
You could use a windshield, but I don't think we're ready to give it up just yet. We're not 100% sure.
When do you think you'll know?
About 12 hours. No.
What a Whatever.
All right.
If we don't have a windshield, all we're going to have is a glorified parade float. Yeah, that was probably not a good move. If these guys don't pull this off, man, we're in trouble.
Coming up.
Hey, how about just listening to me one time? Open those ears.
Dan has sucked me into this stupid argument on team leader crap. We're wasting time.
And later.
Okay, stop. Looks like we got a fuel leak.
We're running out of time.
The West Coast Salty Dogs have cracked their one and only windshield.
It's a bad day.
That's a bad day.
And the East Coast Speed Machine is refusing to share their spare, putting the Salty Dogs in a desperate situation.
So what do we do, welding goggles?
It's an option. Well, all I can think of is if you've got any Lexan around here that we could probably cut down it, and would that work for what we're doing? Or
And that'd work. It'd have to be pretty thick, and now you mention it, I think we might.
The Salty Dogs decide to use Lexan, a plexiglass material, as a possible replacement for their windshield. The guys find a 4x8 sheet of it in the back of the shop and set about cutting it to size.
Even though the windshield's going to be plexiglass, I think it'll be all right. The only question is if Jimmy appreciates that we actually had nothing else to work with.
When Jimmy finds the broken windshield, he is not pleased.
How?
They tried to cut it.
Make a chopped windshield out of it?
They were going to chop the windshield.
So, there's one down. Do you have another?
But on their second attempt, so this is my little test. If Jimmy doesn't notice that it's Lexan right off the bat, then we're golden.
Oh, they actually did it. Am I not seeing something?
What?
It looks good.
Yeah, no, it looks good. On the second attempt, everything worked out.
Huh, look at that.
With the windshield problem resolved,
Go ahead and pump it up.
the Salty Dogs focus on the Hot Rod's brake system.
Pump it up. Hold it.
When they finish bleeding the air from the brake lines,
Okay, we're good.
they discover they have a problem.
They're locking up?
Yeah.
The problem we're having with the brakes is getting that pedal to release. We press it down, but it's just not popping back up.
On the other side of the garage,
If I put that in
the
there
East
like
Coast Speed Machine is having the same problem with the brakes.
When we pull ours all the way down, this doesn't even seat all the way inside that on that shoulder.
that. No, there's an 1/8 inch difference.
If you figure something out, yell. But there's nothing wrong with the brakes, I'm sure. It's just something going on with our setup here.
While John and Eric troubleshoot the brakes, the other members move on with the build. Over on the Speed Machine side, Justin's interior has caught Jimmy's eye.
What do we have here?
A little piece of trim that we're fabricating for the door panel.
This flat bar?
Yep, just actually jammed it in between the upright here. Just gave it a little bit of a bend, put some studs on the back, and we're gonna fasten it to the door panel.
See, this is the kind of details. This is stuff I'm looking for. It's so right on that you can't even tell that it wasn't factory made. And this is something you can't buy. You can only make stuff like this. That's awesome.
You can pay me to do it.
I can pay you to do it.
The Salty Dogs are also putting some metal work into their interior.
I'm making a dashboard for the car right now, and the process I'm doing is called engine turning. I'm using an abrasive piece of dowel, and I'm turning a pattern every half inch. When it's done, it'll give it sort of a reflective, kind of a prism-type look to it.
Then he cuts the metal into shape and installs the gauges.
Wow, that looks really cool.
Turned out really nice.
Tell you what, your car's coming out great. It's looking really cool.
18 hours in. With both interiors moving along, the teams are running almost lockstep, with the blue team slightly ahead on the engine and the red team leading in the paint booth. They are both stalled on suspension. They've sunk 3 hours into troubleshooting these brakes, and the East Coast finally makes some progress.
We got it.
What's that?
Got it figured out. Your spacer's in the wrong place. This is not a washer for here. This is a spacer for this side. Take this off, put it here. Just put that there, you're done.
We were just gonna do that.
Yep.
In the light of day, this problem would have been obvious. But in a 48-hour build, we all get fuzzy. We're not looking at things like you normally would.
And with about 26 hours left, Dan from the Salty Dogs feels that team leadership is more of a concern than fatigue.
I'm going to demand that we have a powwow so that our leader can lead the trail.
We already had a team meeting in the beginning. This is what we're gonna do. Everybody's doing something. No, Dan's sitting down there with this cardboard box with a ton of writing all over it.
Making a list?
Checking it twice.
All right.
You know, I basically don't. I'm trying to find a job right now. We're running out of time. We're under the clock. And I want to see us win.
So do I.
Hey, we're just talking. No, it's just a do's list so I can find something to do.
I got something for you to do. I want to try and get these on the front and these on the front.
What do you think about this, Dan? Let's talk to the guys and say,
well,
hey,
I know.
Because it isn't all about Lang. So why don't you pull up a chair, call your boys up, and let's have a meeting, and let's get ramped up.
I'm not going to pull him off electrical right now.
Hey, how about just listen to me one time? Open those ears.
You know why I like cars? They don't talk back.
Do you understand where I'm from, right?
I understand where you're from. Dan is sucking me into this stupid argument on team leader crap. Just do your job, dude. We're wasting time. We're wasting time.
You're wrong. You got to spend some time to make some time.
Talk to the rest of the guys. Maybe in about an hour, we'll all get together.
You don't listen, do you? It has become quite obvious to me that Langley wants to just do it his way. I'm just going to do my job. Let him do his.
25 hours left. And the East Coast Speed Machine wants to make up for lost time by being the first to fire their engine.
You want to try it real quick? Let's try it.
Car and hold.
Nothing, huh?
Coming up.
That's not the base coat, is it?
See the shadow right there? It's gonna look like a horse's you know what.
What's happening?
He's just getting a lot of popping and stuff.
I'm like up to here.
Why is this on pulse? You hit it on pulse? Where'd you go?
With over half the 48 hours already elapsed, the West Coast Salty Dogs are losing patience with one another.
Maybe in about an hour, we'll all get together.
You don't listen, do you?
Meanwhile, on the blue team side, the East Coast Speed Machine is struggling to get their engine started.
Oh, nothing, huh?
After some investigation, they realize they must replace their starter.
The starter we have will not work. It comes right out to the end, goes, all right, we need a new starter. It was a long night, for sure. Things just didn't go as well as we had planned. We ran into a lot of stumbling blocks, but in the end made a lot of forward motion on the car. You want to try it real quick?
Okay, ground's hooked up.
Just see if it engages and cranks over.
It almost lit right there. Look at that.
I guess it'll start.
I think it will start.
Over on the red team side, the West Coast Salty Dogs prepare to construct their exhaust from a set of Hedman buildable headers.
Basically what I'm going to be doing is fabricating my own set of headers. They're going to come straight out the side panel. No mufflers, nothing. Coming out the body, it'll look like those four right there.
While the Salty Dogs get started on their custom headers, the East Coast Speed Machine is running into trouble with their paint job.
But that's not the base coat, is it? That's the primer?
No, that's the color.
Really?
Looks like it needs another coat.
She looks a little thin.
See the shadow right there? It's that one shadow.
Pull it out of there. Hold that up.
See it?
Yeah. As soon as it goes outside in the sun.
Yep.
It'll be boom.
It's gonna look like a horse's, you know what? I'm gonna grab the doors back. I'm gonna recoat the orange. It's got a little bit of a shadow to it. I'm not happy with them. I'm really glad they decided to paint that door because it needed to be done.
The red team is having an easier time in the paint booth as Jeff DeBat Miller works to complete a complex faux rivet paint job which gives their car the look of a 40s-era bomber plane. The centerpiece of his House of Color paint job will be a series of louvers airbrushed onto the hood.
We're going to go with hot rod style louvers. You can't punch louvers in fiberglass, so we're going to airbrush them in.
How's it coming?
Good.
Oh, it looks really nice, dude.
This is,
that looks fantastic.
I still got to put a shadow, and then I think I'm done with the hood.
With Jeff's efficient expert artistry, the West Coast Salty Dogs take a commanding lead in the body and paint department, leaving their blue-shirted competitors from the opposite coast in the dust. Meanwhile, Mark from the East Coast Speed Machine works to engineer their steering column.
When you're building a car such as this, hot rods, race cars, you always have to contend with typically having a large engine. You can see all the series of shafts and universals, or we call them knuckles, to get around the motor all the way up to the rack and pinion. From the rack and pinion, it goes out through these series of connecting arms to the spindles that actually steer the wheels.
It's a lot of universal joints where a typical street car has one. So maybe two. So we've got four.
With just over 9 hours to go, Langley from the Salty Dogs is feeling the heat. He's having a tough time welding the headers together.
I mean, that's the best I can do without burning a hole through it. Mm-hmm. It's farting and popping, and I'm like up to here. I feel like we just some good.
Jimmy has to step in to solve the problem.
How we doing? What's happening?
He's just getting a lot of popping and stuff.
Everything's farting, even the wire feed.
Tell you what, let's go and let's sharpen this tungsten real quick.
If he can't do it, I won't feel like dumb.
Why is this on pulse? Pulse frequency off. You hit it on pulse, so it was pulsing all by itself?
I didn't know.
Oh, you noticed how it was pulsing like that? Yeah, I like to be able to control it myself.
Yeah, that's what it's meant to sound like.
Frustrated, Langley storms off as Jimmy tries to explain where he went wrong.
You got a helmet? Where'd he go?
I don't know. Where did he go?
He doesn't need to show me bad attitude either.
Coming up, John from the Salty Dogs tries to calm Langley down and get him back into the garage.
What the hell? You walked away, man.
5 minutes left.
Fire in the hole.
Less than 9 hours left in the build. The West Coast Salty Dogs team leader Langley storms off, infuriated with his inability to properly weld the headers.
I noticed Langley was having a little bit of trouble when he's trying to TIG weld up his new headers for the car. So I thought I'd go over and just kind of check in on him, see how he's doing, see if I could be of assistance. I noticed a couple things were wrong, and I changed the settings on the machine, and what do you know? They work just fine. Seems I kind of pissed him off, though.
His teammate John must calm Langley down and get his mind back on the build.
Jimmy came in, he's trying to get it going, and he said, what the hell? You walked away, man.
I'm upset that it wasn't working right, and we just boogered a lot of work we just did.
Well, we can fix that. We can clean that up. You know what? Who's going to see it anyway behind the bezel?
But you know me, John.
Well,
do it right.
Me too. But you know what? That crap happens, so we'll fix it.
Walking away from Jimmy like that was a stupid move. Langley can be upset, but pissing off the judge is never a good thing to do.
John succeeds and brings Langley back into the garage. With the motors and undercarriages mostly assembled, both teams begin putting together the painted bodies of their hot rods.
After the body was cured, put the body on the chassis, laid it all out, set it in place, bolted it all in, fit pretty well and looks pretty good.
Two totally different styles. When you look at both of them, it's literally two different cars.
With just over 3 hours left in the build, Jimmy suddenly stops the clock.
All right, teams, you guys gather around for a minute. Every competition, we have a couple little challenges. So today I've got another challenge for you guys. And kind of thinking about these cars and what's going on, and I'm really impressed with the interior jobs. So what I've got today, 2 of these creepers. Very basic, very plain. So what we're gonna do here today is, yes, Tom, I'm looking at you, and Justin, kind of picking on you guys today. I'd like you guys to actually take these creepers and reupholster them. Both teams, you guys can help out your crewmate here. And here's the deal. Once I say go, you guys have 30 minutes to do this. In 30 minutes, I'd like to have these creepers back here and lean against these welders. Then I'll decide what team wins. The winning team's gonna get an extra hour to work on their car, times 7 crew members. That really equates to 7 extra hours. The other team has to sit down. They can't touch their vehicle at all. Got it?
Got it.
All right. The clock starts now.
Grab it, John.
Guys, over here.
A creeper is a tool mechanics lay-on, allowing them to quickly roll underneath the car and access its undercarriage.
We can use orange, suede.
All right, and you're doing a stainless rod down the middle again?
Yeah, we're going to have Tony make that.
Looks like a Caltrans job. 4 guys standing around, 1 guy working.
No, Jimmy's a big red guy.
Yeah, red and black.
He does like red and black?
The West Coast Salty Dogs decide to upholster the creeper with black, white, and red piping, while the blue-shirted East Coast Speed Machine go with an orange symbol design.
If you put your efforts into a contoured headrest that's 3 pieces and then really nice stitching, I think that would work really well.
Both teams work steadily, but the tension rises when Jimmy Shine starts calling out the remaining time.
All right, you guys are down to 10 minutes.
I need someone to help me with the patterns for the headrest while I sew this up. Otherwise, we're not going to get this done.
Ooh, we're running out of time.
Oh, well.
All right, headrest is ready to go.
Just be ready to bolt this thing back together, because we're probably going to be down to the wire here.
Okay, we're down to 3 minutes left on the clock. 3 minutes.
Where's the other nuts?
I can't see. Lang, move. Let go.
See if you could bring this down a little bit before you tighten it.
All right, guys, you got 1 minute left. I don't see anything up here yet.
With just under a minute left, Justin from the East Coast Speed Machine ferries his creeper over to Jimmy Shine.
Looks like we got our first contender here.
Just in time.
Just in time.
Seconds later, the West Coast Salty Dogs hustle over their own newly upholstered creeper.
We've got 2. Well.
Jimmy carefully inspects the finished product from both teams.
Wow, that's 2 very impressive pieces there in 30 minutes. Got a nice piece of stainless trim here. Got some piping, some stitching, 1 color. Over here on this side, we've got multiple colors. We got a headrest. That's pretty impressive for half an hour. But I gotta pick which one actually wins an extra hour here. It's really a tough one to call. Gentlemen, you guys win an hour.
East Coast Speed Machine must take a seat for an hour, while their red-shirted rivals from the West Coast take full advantage of their extra time.
You got fuel up. Matter of fact,
we got fuel now?
With just under 20 minutes left in the extra hour, the Salty Dogs are preparing to fire their engine when they discover a dangerous error, which could turn into an explosive situation.
Okay, stop. You got gas overflowing.
What's going on, Brad?
Looks like we got a fuel leak. Whoever put in the panels, probably when they did their pre-drill for their rivets, just kissed the fuel tank and punctured it in 2 places. Real small, but when you fill it up, it's a waterfall.
The blue team's hour of waiting has ended. They can now go back to work.
The time resumes. You have a little over 3 hours left in this build.
After installing their hot rod's roof, the East Coast Speed Machine's most important order of business is firing their engine.
Fire in the hole.
Fire in the hole.
Woo! All right.
Building a car, the most exciting part is when it's alive. Things are looking great. Tops on the car, seats are going in the car. We're really starting now to put finishing touches on the car.
With their engine fired, the East Coast Speed Machine takes a commanding lead over their West Coast competitors. Everything but their interior has been finished. The West Coast boys seem to have found a solution to their gas tank leak.
Just get your snips in, get there, get this whole corner out.
What we're going to do here with this fuel leak is we're going to use a fuel-safe epoxy that we can put on. It cures in 2 hours and get us back in the game.
With just under an hour left in the build, they need to repair it and fire their engine before time runs out. Meanwhile, over on the blue team side, the East Coast Speed Machine is in good shape.
This isn't the red team. We ain't catch on fire.
They spend their remaining time detailing their hot rod, as the red team struggles frantically to repair their fuel leak.
All right, red team, 5 minutes left. Blue team's kind of relaxing right now.
That goofy thing on the back deck.
15 seconds.
The red team finally has their leak repaired and now tries to fire their motor before time runs out.
5, 4, 3,
Doesn't look like we're gonna have time.
1.
Coming up.
I got to see both teams build these cars. I got to drive these cars, but I do have a slight issue. I'm having a tough time figuring out where the continuity is. What do you call this? What is this?
The teams have worked tirelessly for 48 straight hours. It's time to see the cars.
My team's going to win this competition because we got talent. I bet the blue team is shaking in their boots.
This car is so well built and so well executed that when we win this car, I'm driving it home.
The teams may have their opinions, but there's only one voice that counts.
This judging is going to be so difficult. There's so many different things to weigh out here. You know, I'm looking at the whole package. Paint, body, interior, engine bay. Then I take it out and I test it. I drive it. I want to see how well it accelerates, brakes, handles, steers. I'm going to judge all of that.
Jimmy first tests the Factory 5 Ford built by the Salty Dogs of the West Coast.
Cool looking headers, don't you think? I bet they're going to sound good on the drag strip, and I bet it's going to haul ass too.
For the performance test, Jimmy will put the cars through a set of rigorous driving maneuvers, taking both vehicles through a slalom and drag course.
Some days it's good to be me. Light car with a soft compound tire. This thing handled great. I mean, it wasn't breaking loose going through the slalom at all. I tell you what, hand-cooked tires, the bare brakes, it's a real fun car to drive.
Next up, Jimmy tests the East Coast Speed Machine's Factory 5 Ford.
This feels really good in here. I think it's time to go for a ride. Went through the slalom just great. The brakes were just spot on. Yeah, I got after it, went through the slalom, then I just let go of the wheel and hit the brakes dead straight. It's a real fun car. You might have to have one.
Jimmy heads back to the garage to give the teams his results.
Salty Dogs from the West Coast. I want to start talking about this whole paint job. The color you guys chose was right on. I mean, it really has that metallic look to it, almost like a brushed aluminum. All this airbrushing on here to make this look like louvers. That's a talent you got there, my friend. That's beautiful. Nice work. And you also did this rivet theme and like separate panels, almost like an aircraft body. But I do have a slight issue with it. I'm having a tough time figuring out where the continuity is.
Well, I was hoping that the lines would be far enough off that they would look like they were put together with individual frames.
So unfortunately, it's just close enough that it looks like a mistake.
Yes.
All right. In the first minutes of the competition, I'm looking at Dan and trying to figure out what the heck is he doing. He's making this thing that looks, I don't know, real similar to like a wart. Turns out he's making this mold, and he actually cast this thing out of fiberglass and chose not to wear gloves either, and your hands actually kind of look like the thing on the top of your head. But I tell you what, Dan, that's a nice piece. I'm gonna go to the interior right now. Tom, What do you call this? What is this?
Awesome is what that is.
I like that answer. That's a lot of work right there. You know, the car's silver, but you introduced another color. You brought this red into it. It's really classy.
Thank you. We can thank Brad for that one.
All right, I'd like to talk about the engine. I like what you guys did here in the engine compartment. Nice and tidy, nice and clean. Something else you guys opted to do, you guys actually took the time and built your own headers and actually ran these zoomies out the side. And I tell you what, this thing sounds really good. And that's just a really neat part of this car. All right, the speed machine from the East Coast. I tell you what, Tony, in 48 hours to build a car like this and have this kind of quality of paint, you're really talented. You should be real proud of that. Real proud. It's a good thing you won the motor challenge. It fills up this engine compartment and it looks real nice.
Yeah, as soon as we won that engine challenge, we knew we had to show it off.
That was a good decision. And you know, not only that, Mark, watched you make this fan shroud here. That's very important for cooling on a car such as this with a high horsepower engine, a lot of friction, a lot of heat. It's a real nice piece. Real nice piece. I like that a lot. All right, let's move on. I want to talk about the interior. Hey, Justin, how are you?
Too bad.
Well, I really like what you did. And you know what else? That stainless trim you built, that's just a nice touch.
Thank you.
You guys really worked well together as a team. Ray, fantastic job as always.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, sir. Brad, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thanks for working with the guys.
Thank you, Brad.
All right, my friend. Thank you. All right. Guess what? I got a special guest here today who might know a thing or two about these vehicles. Gentlemen, I give you the president of Factory 5, Dave Smith.
Yeah.
When you were approached with this, do you really think these guys were going to pull this off in 48 hours?
What I'm impressed with is I would put these cars against any car at any car show that was built maybe in 4 years.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you so much,
Really
Dave.
great job. Hey, guys, thank you very much. Congratulations. Fantastic work. Thank you.
Okay, I got to see both teams build these cars. I got to drive these cars. Now it's time for me to make my decision.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks, Jimmy.
After 48 hours of grueling labor, the cars have been tested and examined. It all comes down to this. Jimmy has left to make his decision. The teams anxiously await his return.
We built a badass car.
In 48 hours. To win this competition would be a feather in my cap.
Paint looks good.
So good.
Every time he was talking, you couldn't stop looking at this car.
Winning for the East Coast team is definitely a beat your chest and we want it with pride. I really do believe that the East Coast has got the upper hand.
All right, teams, it all comes down to this. Salty Dogs from the West Coast. You built me a Dry Lakes Bonneville-themed roadster. You did some really neat modifications with the pipes, the roll cage, the interior. That's a beautiful car. You guys did a kick-ass job in 48 hours. Very nice. Then we got the Speed Machine team from the East Coast. You actually took this roadster, you put the top on it, you made a coupe out of it. Cut the front end off, exposed that engine. I love seeing that chassis. Tasteful. And I tell you what, I'm looking at both these cars, and I'd have to say it's a draw. But I also have the opportunity to drive these cars. One steered just a little bit better, actually had the brakes work just a little bit better, went a little bit faster, and basically that's what my decision comes down to. The winner of Car Warriors, the Factory 5 Hot Rod 33 competition, Speed Machine.
Thank you very much.
You guys, both teams did a fantastic job.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Jimmy, before you decided who won, both teams got together. We decided that the best thing we could do with this car was to donate it. And Factory 5's charity of choice is the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation.
We've done a lot of charity work in the past, and my daughter has cystic fibrosis, so obviously I have a soft spot for that. These guys have busted their butts for 48 hours. They built these cars, and now the winning car, they're giving it away. That's amazing.
Thank you so much. Once again, just proves who you are.
There was a dozen guys involved in this build, busting their butts for 48 hours. And at the end of it, we couldn't think of a better way to actually give back. I'm proud to be a part of that group of guys.
It's a kick in the pants, but you know what? When it's all said and done, we did something special.
Competition like this is all about showcasing some of the best car customizers and builders in the country. East Coast or West Coast, these guys are the best. They built 2 beautiful cars, and more importantly, they did it all to benefit a good cause. I really respect that.
Good job.